It made me cry.
This one's wife. They are terrible at business. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Harry grew up in the rarefied atmosphere of the royal family, where largely everything was done for him. Some of his more errant behaviours were kept in check, and he managed to cultivate an image whereby he was largely liked by much of the populace. He then went and fucked all of that up by getting ensnared by a narcissist. This one's wife is a mediocre nobody that hit the jackpot by marrying a dim-witted and easily pliable prince, catapulting her onto international stage, allowing her to utilise this for the purposes of fame, for increasing her profile, and then seeking to monetize the same. A number of years ago, when they decided to flee the United Kingdom, when in actual fact it was simply this one's wife asserting control through withdrawal because she hadn't been able to control the royal family to the extent that she subconsciously needed, they looked to have got off to a flying start as a consequence of the deals that were done with Netflix and with Spotify. It seemed that everybody wanted a slice of the Sussex pie, and they were willing to pay top dollar for it. This put them in an enviable and lucrative position. But now, Harry seems more interested in disappearing off to Africa and retreating from the celebrity glare. And this one's wife, well, she's foisting jam on celebrities and is doing a cookery programme. Hardly the inspiring stuff of someone who apparently is a business behemoth. She has gone back to being an influencer, as she once did with the Tig. From Duchess to Jam, it's hardly the story of a business mogul. Now, interestingly, Business Insider have decided to analyse the two. The headline reads, Harry and this one's wife equals bad deal. The royal couple is terrible at business, so why do companies keep offering them millions? It'll be interesting to see in this article if the author of it manages to understand what lies behind their terrible business acumen and how that relates to the way that she behaves because of her narcissism. Remember, that's what drives this woman, her narcissism. That's what regulates her interactions with other people, her decision-making, her conduct and her behaviours. And by understanding that, it gives you tremendous insight into why she does as she does and why she behaves as she does. It gives you the answers again and again and again to so many questions as to why has she gone and done that. Let's dive in and see if they pick up on her narcissism being at the source of their woes. Prince Harry and this one's wife, writes Emily Stewart, seem like lovely people. That's not the most auspicious of starts. Despite some harrowing experiences throughout their love story, they appear to be well-meaning, and they have two very cute kids. All in all, they're fine. They are also incredibly famous. But this combination of decency and notoriety does not necessarily translate to them being great business people or top-notch media moguls, as evidenced by companies throwing millions of dollars at them with, let's say, mixed results. Netflix announced on April 11th that two new shows from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are in the early stages of production. The first will be a series curated by this one's wife that, according to its vague logline, celebrates the joys of cooking, gardening, entertaining and friendship. The second will be all about professional polo, shot at a championship in Florida. Film crews followed Harry around playing in a polo match this month. These productions are part of the deal the pair signed with the streaming platform in 2020, reportedly worth $100 million. It has resulted in some hits, or rather a hit, a multi-part documentary called Harry and This One's Wife about the duo's romance, turbulence within the royal family and their move to the United States. It became Netflix's most watched documentary debut. If you haven't seen it, the early episodes are quite good, in my opinion, but by the end it drags, writes the author. Harry and This One's Wife's deal with Netflix has also produced some misses. Netflix dropped Pearl, an animated children's series This One's Wife created through her and Harry's production company, Archwell Productions, before he even premiered. Netflix executives reportedly turned on the idea because they figured kids wouldn't really care who made the show, even if she was a duchess. 2 other documentary series the pair put out on Netflix, Heart of Invictus and Live to Lead, didn't break through. The Wall Street Journal reported in 2023 that Netflix had also rejected at least 2 TV ideas from This One's Wife and Harry, and that the company was unlikely to renew their deal with them in 2025. Netflix did not return a request for comment for this story. Despite the misfires, Netflix is having a better time with the couple than Spotify. The audio streaming company signed a deal with Harry and This One's Wife in 2020, reportedly worth $20 million. After a long stretch of radio silence, the couple finally came out with Archetypes in 2022, a 12-episode podcast hosted by This One's Wife about women and the labels that try to hold women back. In 2023, Spotify and the royal couple said they had agreed to part ways. The pair reportedly did not get paid the full $20 million because they didn't produce enough content. Sense of entitlement, laziness. After 4 years outside the official orbit of the royal family, as the Wall Street Journal notes, the documentary and Harry's memoir Spare are the only impactful things Harry and This One's Wife have produced. It's hard not to look at all of this and say, okay, Harry and This One's Wife seem nice. I'm not sure why this author is preoccupied with saying that they seem nice. They're not. But if I ran a company, I probably would not be making big deals with them. While Spotify has already washed its hands of the Sussexes, Netflix is still trying to work with them. As Michael Pachter, a managing director at Wedbush Securities who's covered movies, entertainment and tech for 2 decades, explained, it's because they've still got that $100 million deal. It's one of many such agreements Netflix signed with big names when it was trying to better establish itself and get eyeballs, including with Barack and Michelle Obama, Ryan Murphy, and Shonda Rhimes. The $100 million at the time sounded like a good idea. And who knew that the 2 of them would be such duds on camera, Pachter said. And that's a fair observation, because narcissists are often hugely entertaining. Think about many of the reality TV programs that you've perhaps watched, such as Big Brother or Real Housewives of wherever it might be. Often there are narcissists in there. Love Island, for instance. Astonishingly, I know about these programs, having never watched any of them. They just, of course, invariably something you find out about through osmosis, because they appear in the background in news feeds, etc. But these programs invariably will involve narcissists who prove to be entertaining because of the divisiveness and the dramatic behaviours that they engage in. With This One's Wife being a narcissist, you might therefore think, well, she would be good on screen. But in actual fact, that's not the case, because she isn't one of those entertaining narcissists. She's one of those bland, beige, boring ones. The article continues by explaining it's possibly one or both shows could take off like their personal documentary did. There's still juice in This One's Wife and Harry's storyline. Netflix may be hoping there'll be some halo effect from Suits, the 2010s era legal drama This One's Wife was in that recently became a Netflix hit. The shows being proposed now will likely be relatively inexpensive to make. It's not wildly costly to pay a camera crew to film Harry playing polo or This One's Wife cooking something in her kitchen, if that's what her show turns out to be. Productivity prospects may be better here, because This One's Wife and Harry won't really have to do much of anything extra except exist as themselves, which of course suits This One's Wife because of her innate laziness. Harry won't need to come up with a podcast concept, which he reportedly struggled to do with Spotify. He just has to ride a horse. And maybe just keeping on good terms with the Sussexes is worth it in case more drama erupts from the royal family, which, as I've explained before, the real reason why Netflix signed them up was to get the gossip about the royal family. Perhaps they're holding out for more to occur. Perhaps Prince Harry decides to try to get back into the royal fold and document that. A public breakup with This One's Wife and Harry may also be a mess Netflix doesn't want to deal with. But barring some juicy new development or a sudden turnaround in viewer interest, Netflix could decide to throw in the towel. But unlike Spotify, the the streamer might not be able to recoup any of the $100 million from the Sussexes. Netflix can cancel this any time they want and just pay them the unpaid amount, Pachter said. And maybe they will do that if they keep messing around with the formula and can't find anything. They're not going to waste their time if nobody watches it. The what to do with This One's Wife and Harry issue is also illustrative of a broader point. Celebrity-driven media is a tough business. Plenty of people are famous for one thing: acting, singing, being good at a sport, being born into a very wealthy British family that happens to own a lot of land and jewels, and then have a hard time parlaying that into something different. It feels like nearly every celebrity has a podcast, but only a handful have broken through, like Smartless, hosted by Jason Bateman, Will Arnett and Sean Hayes, or Joe Rogan's show. The list of stars turned failed talk show host is endless and includes Magic Johnson and Chevy Chase. Media companies founded by Reese Witherspoon and LeBron James have had some successes, but they haven't been guaranteed hit factories. In the 1990s and early 2000s, a number of Hollywood studios' so-called vanity deals with celebrity-backed productions flopped or were canned, including with stars such as Alicia Silverstone, Nicolas Cage and Demi Moore. More recently, the Obamas have received multiple accolades for some of their productions, though they haven't hit a bunch of commercial home runs. Just this week, CNN cancelled its fairly new talk show with Gayle King and Charles Barkley. Working out which celebrities can cross over is hard, and there's no clear formula that guarantees success. If there were, everyone would be implementing it. Despite their trials and tribulations, This One's Wife and Harry are still at it. Archwell Productions continues to exist. This One's Wife is launching some sort of lifestyle venture called American Riviera Orchard that so far is mainly a website and an Instagram account. She's filed a number of trademark applications that would indicate she may plan to dip into skincare, cosmetics, yoga mats and accessories for pets. The former actor has experience in the lifestyle space. In a previous life, she ran a blog called The Tig. This week, the brand released its first product, 50 jars of jam sent to This One's Wife friends. Is This One's Wife the new J.M. Smucker? Sure, maybe. And then she can show everyone how she made that jam on her hit Netflix show. Thus, that's Business Insider's take on the fact that they're terrible at business. But it doesn't really get to the heart of the matter as to why that is. And that's because, as a narcissist, but a boring one, she expects everything to be done for her. She expects to be paid for doing very little. She's difficult to work with because she thinks she always knows best. She's devoid of any imagination and original ideas. And because she believes that she knows best and that she is the one that should direct the manner of these programs, this is why it's a bad deal being involved with them. Harry has always been mollycoddled. He doesn't really think for himself. He hasn't been brought up to do so. And therefore looking to him for great ideas is never going to produce anything. Though in fairness to him, he hasn't been the one that's been as motivated to want to enter the celebrity sphere as This One's Wife has. She, of course, is hugely hungry for it because her narcissism tells her she belongs there. But she wants to get there with the minimum of effort. And when you have no talent, no charisma, and no imagination, and the fact that you operate in the moment, making repeatedly bad decisions with collateral consequences, you're going to be terrible at business. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.